Okay, we have all been there. It's midnight, you're watching something online, and you get this incredible surge of energy. You're completely fired up, convinced that tomorrow is the day everything changes. But then, you wake up, and that fire is just gone. Today, we're going to get into exactly why that happens, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
I mean, it's the classic story, right? You watch this amazing video, or maybe you listen to a powerful speech and you think, that is it. Tomorrow, I am a completely new person. And then, crickets. Nothing. So the big question we need to answer is a simple one. Why does that fire die the second it's actually time to do the work?
All right, let's dive into this. To really understand the why, we first have to break down this experience that we all know so well, the motivation high, and, the inevitable crash that follows. Let's start with what's happening during that late-night burst of inspiration. Just picture it. It's late, you're scrolling, and you land on this incredibly inspiring video. The music starts to swell, you see all these amazing success stories, and this intense, fiery feeling just builds up inside you. You feel absolutely unstoppable, like you could achieve anything. But then the alarm goes off. It's morning. It's time to actually sit down at the desk or open the laptop or put on your running shoes. And suddenly, there is not a single trace of that fire. It's just gone. You're left totally alone with the cold, hard reality of the work ahead, and that amazing feel-good state has completely vanished.
So what is going on here on a biological level? Well, it turns out your brain is playing a little trick on you. It's giving you something we can call a fake reward. And this is the fake reward sensation. Neuroscientists have actually found that when you watch somebody else succeed, your brain releases dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical. So you get the feeling of accomplishment without having to do any of the actual work. It's a really clever trap that makes you feel super productive when you've really just been a spectator.
And this really shows you the formula, doesn't it? These videos are literally engineered to give you that emotional high. You've got the swelling music, the fast editing, the epic success stories. But here's the problem. Emotions are, by their very nature, fleeting. When the video ends, the stimulus is gone, and so is the feeling.
This brings us to the main idea of this whole explainer, a completely new way to think about motivation that could honestly change your entire approach. So let's talk about the difference between a starter motor and the fuel. I want you to think about your goals like a car. Motivation? Well, that's the starter motor. Its only job is to turn the key and crank the engine. It just gets things going. But what actually takes that car hundreds and hundreds of miles? That's the fuel in the tank. And that fuel? That's discipline. You can see it right here. One is just a fleeting feeling, while the other is a conscious decision. One kicks things off, the other actually sees them through to the end. And this is so crucial. If you only work when you're in the mood, you'll be a professional beginner forever. Masters become masters because they show up even when they don't feel like it. And this leads us to a really hard, but honestly a very liberating truth. If you're just sitting around waiting for the right feeling to strike before you start, you are going to be waiting a long, long time.
The author and speaker Mel Robbins puts it just perfectly, if a little bluntly, you're never going to feel like it. But why is that? It's because our brains are literally wired for survival and comfort. They are designed to protect us from anything that is difficult or boring or uncertain. And let's be honest, most of our meaningful goals fall into at least one of those categories, right?
I've seen this happen in my own life. I was so incredibly motivated when I first decided I was going to get a drone certification. The whole idea was thrilling. But then it came time to learn the boring technical details and troubleshoot errors, and my motivation just completely vanished. And because discipline didn't kick in to take its place, that drone is now just sitting on a shelf gathering dust. It's the perfect example of how that initial spark needs something much more substantial to keep it going.
So how do you actually build that discipline? How do you go from all this theory to actually putting it into practice? Well, I'm going to give you a really simple, practical mission that you can start right now. The key is this number, right here, 5. Just 5 minutes. That's it. It's so small that it's not intimidating at all, and it's the very first step to building the habit of discipline over the emotion of motivation. So, here is your mission, should you choose to accept it. First, I want you to think of one small thing you need to do, but have been putting off because you just don't feel like it. Second, and this is the most important part, do not wait for motivation to show up. And third, just sit down and do that task for 5 minutes. Only 5. That's how you start filling up the fuel tank. Because, ultimately, that's the big takeaway here.
We can spend our entire lives waiting for the right feeling to come along, being managed by the fleeting highs of motivation, or we can choose a different path. We can choose to pave the way with our decisions, not our feelings. So the question is, are you going to let your emotions manage you, or are you going to start paving the way with your decisions?